in my family, we have some superstars. We have some real superstars. Lonnie Reyes, which is a fantastic artist, world renowned. Luana Reyes was in #4 in Indian Health Services. And Bernie Whitebear was the founder and CEO of United Indian All Tribes Foundation. He's known globally as the Gang of Four. And I'm kind of a tag along. But Mom, I'm still alive, and I'm saying, don't give up on me yet. I wanted to say that when I'm clicking the rocks, we're calling back the salmon. And the salmon know where they're born, and they really want to return to where they were born. They come 1,000 miles, sometimes further than 1,000 miles, to find their home. Well, like our people, the Sanaik, we also know our home. Our home is actually north of this, what they call a border, and we call it a line. And LaDonna Boyd, Jim Boyd's little sister, she went up there and she felt it, the power drawn her. In the book, Eileen Perk's book about geography of memory, she mentioned that there was a drawing, and she talked about Jim Boyd, her older brother, and asked him about the feeling, and he just told her, just go up there and you'll know. We're just like the salmon. We're salmon people. We are salmon people. We want to go home. We want to go back. This is where it all began. Mary Christian Hall Wong, our mother, always in our hearts, forever on our mind. Our mother had some tremendous children. We'll go over here and we'll start with the eldest. Mary Christian Hall Wong's eldest. He passed away just a couple months ago. Lonnie L. Reyes, a humble man. He was an artist, an excellent artist, and also an author. Okay, after Lonnie was born, then we had our sister here. Lonnie was a very proud of his family. This is our sister right here, Luana Reyes. Again, her dad was Julian Reyes. Her mom was Mary Christian. Brothers and sisters were Lonnie, Bernie Whitebear, Harry Wong, Teresa Wong, Laura Wong Whitebear, and Lotus Wong, which would have been my big sister. She died at 1. But look what it says about Luana. Director of Headquarters Operation, Indian Health Service, Rockville, Maryland, 1982 to 2001. Executive Director of United Indian Health Board, 72 to 82. Awarded 2001 Presidential Rank Meritorious Award, Washington, D.C. Okay, that's Luana. Now, let's go and look at my big brother, Bernie. Lonnie's little brother and Luana's little brother. Now, he was a showman. He was a a warrior. He was something else. Like he was in 101st Airborne. He was a Green Beret. He was the executive director for a while at the Indian Health Board, but that wasn't his heart. His heart was somewhere else. So he handed it over to Luana. He's the CEO of the United Indian All Tribes Foundation. And you can look there, descendants of some chiefs right there. It's got our grandfather down there as White Grizzly Bear, Alex Christian. And then it's got our great uncle, James Bernard. See, our mother's mother was Teresa Bernard, and James Bernard was her brother. And Alex Christian, he was just a hunter. And he's well known in Canada because he's one of the last people that stayed up there and kept on hunting. Call him Indian Alex. If you go to Castlegar City Hall, they have a plaque about White Grizzly Bear, Alex Christian. So that's Bernie. Yeah, our mother was so proud of James Bernard because of what he did, going to Washington, D.C. and addressing the politicians there. He was very eloquent. He stood up. He was very proud. Our great uncle, Chief James Bernard. Yeah, our mother just spoke of him very highly. And now Sophie, she's kind of hard to find. It's over here. We got to repair her monument here. But this is James's wife. The story about Alex Christian, he was a little brother of Baptiste Christian, but Baptiste saw no hope. He moved to Marcus, Washington, not very far from Evans, Washington, but our grandfather was stubborn, and he just would not leave Canada. He just did not want to leave Canada. Lonnie was saying that he was just a normal guy, but he knew injustice, and he was fighting against injustice. Just like our grandfather, Alex Christian, he was a normal guy. He was a hunter, and he just wanted to hunt. He just wanted to live on his land. And his land was at the confluence of the Columbia and the Kootenai River up there in Castlegar, British Columbia. He was just a normal man, an average man, but he just kept on going back, even though they wanted him to get a license to hunt and fish. But he just kept on going back. And because of that, he is featured at Castlegar at City Hall. There's a display panel at Castlegar City Hall talking about Alex Christian. And because of Alex Christian, actually, I was able to get status in Canada. I talked to Ricky Disatil, one of our elders up there, and I'm the only one in the tribe that has status in Canada. Unfortunately, they said we were extinct, so they scratched out, when I put down some Ikes on my application, they scratched it out and they put down general ban. But I do have status in Canada, and just one step closer to our coming home. And that's what we want. We want to come home. So he kept on pursuing that one day we could have a reserve there, up there in Canada. And if he would have lived longer, well, that might have happened. Unfortunately, he died at a very young age, in his late 40s. And we still don't know exactly where he's buried. Our grandfather is so sad. His wife, Teresa Bernard, was buried up there in Canada. And then what they did when they built a road or something like that, they destroyed the burial, or it's probably under some road right now, some highway, something like that. Yeah. Kelly Hill, This is the northern half of the reservation where the government took this away from us. Now we have a big gap between Kettle Falls and our traditional territory in Canada, which is Castlegar all the way up to Revelstoke, BC, on the Columbia River. To talk about our people, because that's how I keep my memory alive, and it's important to keep history alive. And someday we'll get down to Inchylame Cultural Resource Center and we can further our knowledge about more of our history. People are dedicating their stories. Inchylame Cultural Resource Center, run by Nancy Michelle. Yeah, you asked me a little while ago when I gave you a little story, like when Indian people come to their territory, it was away from the city and the noise and the pollution. The air is fresh and it's real quiet. You have time to think. And I started thinking about my ancestors and my people. And I don't know what came about with me, but all of a sudden I got tears in my eyes. I was just teary because I don't know why. Maybe they were abused, maybe I miss them, maybe I wish I would have got to know them. I don't know why, but, and then I was talking to myself, I says, man, here you are, you're getting tears. Where'd these come from? They just came, and all I was doing is just thinking about my relatives, and it just made me sad. And that's what happened. It's an ordinary thing. I think this happens to a lot of people. They think, when they think about the past, when they think about their relatives. I'm here with many of our relatives right here. Our mother died, our uncle, they all died. But they're in my home. I told them they're up on my wall, and I every morning I see their face, and I tell them that I love them. I say, I love you, Mom, I love you, Dad, I love you, Uncle Chester, Grandpa. Yeah. So even though they're gone, you can still love them and you can still remember them in a good way. We all have to go. I've been told by an elder that we're born to die. So enjoy life while we're still here, Michael. Every day is a blessing. Every day we're alive. There's a book called The Sacred Circle that talks about that. We all have potential. What I related in that book is we all have potential. We all have more potential than we think we have. And it's just like they said, like a seed from the sacred tree. It just starts up as a seed, and then it grows into a tree. And one of the little stories in there, they talked about some of the people that don't fulfill their potential. It's like a bird that's up in a tree, and it's young, and it has, it has all its feathers and it has everything, but it's afraid to jump off the branch and fly. And that's what I get out of it. A lot of us, we stop ourselves. So we're afraid to fly. But if we can just jump off that branch and just let the wind pick us up, then before we know it, we're flying. One friend of mine told me that. I told him that I'm a pretender. Like I pretend to be a canoeist, or you can pretend to be whatever you want to pretend. But the friend of mine told me that if you keep on pretending, eventually you'll be doing it. eventually you will be canoeing, and then you'll be a canoer. So I tell people I'm a pretender. I pretend that I can canoe. I pretend I can bike. I pretend I can do things. But you just keep on trying, and eventually we all have potential, and we just have to be brave enough to step out and take that risk. Volition is willpower. You have to have willpower, and you combine everything, like your spirit, your mental, your physical, and emotional. That's part of the circle. You bring all that together, and volition is in the center towards your goal. Like my goal is at 77 years old to do Seattle to Portland on a bicycle in one day. Danny Quill, man, I've been so fortunate to have someone like that. Grandma Quills raised him, and Danny Quill always thought that Florence Quill was his mother, but it wasn't his mother, it was his grandma. So I often wondered why. How come my mother's so old compared to the other mothers? Was in Nespelem, and that is 2 mountain passes away. So our people didn't get over there. Mark Mason, he was very popular. Trudy Mason's son, Sue Allen's brother, and there was another lady, I don't know her last name, who she was married to, but she was the curator for the Grand Coulee Dam Museum. Okay, part of the story I want to mention my brother's book, Lonnie wrote B Street. And there was his dad, my mother, and my father were in a restaurant in Grand Coulee Dam. And our mother came from Canada and she didn't want to marry a relative. So she married Julian Reyes. And Julian Reyes and our mother had a restaurant. They started a restaurant in Grand Coulee Dam. The only thing she had was going to a Chinese restaurant. She didn't know anything about Chinese food and how to cook it and how to run a restaurant. She was lucky enough that Harry Wong Sr. walked in the door, and he was Chinese and he just knew how to cook. And that's how come it was a successful restaurant. And that's how it started. My dad ended up with that restaurant when Julian and our mother went back to the reservation. And he stayed on until the Grand Coulee Dam ended. And Grand Coulee Dam is supposed to be the most wild and craziest boomtown in America. And if you go to Grand Coulee Dam B Street, there's a great big sign there. It lists all the businesses there. I've got a picture of me pointing to it. It says, Harry Wong Noodle Parlor. And that's the story of my dad and B Street and the restaurant there. About 1,000 attended the ceremonies of tears, June 14, 1940. And, well, it caused loss of burial sites and I'm sure the loss of Inchland. They had to go higher ground. Of course, they lost a major fishery, a site for not only our people, but for other neighboring tribes. It was until 1946, salmon and steelhead continued to appear at the base of Grand Coulee Dam, trying to get upstream to spawn. After 1946, none was seen again. The loss of salmon was very devastating. It also ended a traditional way of life for native ways.